Hello again, everyone. You're joining us for another episode of Executive Platform's Blueprint podcast series. My name is Jeff Mix. I'm head of content and research. My guest today is JR Humbert of INCOG BioPharma Services. We're going to be having a conversation about how CDMOs are helping the industry do what it needs to do in this exciting next step. I'm really looking forward to this conversation. JR, thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, absolutely. Real pleasure to be here.
I feel like CMOs and CDMOs have always been part of the conversation, but in the last couple of years, they have really taken that next step, and I almost can't talk about the future of medicine right now without talking about CMOs and CDMOs. It's an exciting time. What are some of the things that people are coming to you with as they're working through what their companies need to do to succeed?
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely been a very dynamic time, as you mentioned, in the industry. Coming off of the COVID pandemic, I think, again, a lot of people, that was really the first time I think a lot of people outside of pharma really heard about what a CDMO is and what they do because of the need that the world had, right, to deliver these medicines that really help patients. I think the CDMOs now are having to continue to evolve. We've got capacity constraints because of acquisitions. We've got potential capacity constraints because of governmental regulation that's coming forward. And then thirdly, we've got a new product class out there by some of the biggest companies in the world that are consuming a lot of the capacity that's out there. So a lot of companies that either have existing products that need a new place to manufacture them, or the new products of the future need to have CDMOs in order to be able to bring these life-changing medicines to patients.
So why don't we start off with the big players, and then we'll talk about little players a little further down the road.
Sure, absolutely.
When a large organization that already has an existing product line is saying, we just don't have all the capacity we want to be flexible, what are some of the intelligent questions they should be asking about potential CDMO partners?
Well, I think one of the first ones, and it's been a theme of some of the conference that we're here attending right now, is agility and flexibility, right? Are you a CDMO that can adjust as the company's pipeline adjusts, right? Because a lot of the companies, especially when they're large, right, they're continuously looking at their life cycle management process of where is the best place for them to manufacture their product that's going to not only give them the best quality, but also meet the commercial needs that they have. So really understanding how agile and flexible is a CDMO to be able to accommodate different parts of a pipeline is definitely one of the key questions somebody should ask. The second one is capacity, because again, as these products either come to end of life or if they have other competition, is the CDMO going to be in a position to scale with that customer as either that product ramps down and another one ramps up? So how can an existing large company be able to secure the capacity that they need to manufacture a wide array of products?
Well, why don't we do the same sort of question from a smaller organization? Because I know ATMPs, a lot of them are just coming into commercialization. They haven't built a facility and they are looking for partners. What are some intelligent questions they should be thinking about?
So I think for smaller players, it's about experience. Number one is the CDMO then really becomes even a more critical component of your supply chain, because if they are the extension of your manufacturing facility, they have to basically deliver your product, otherwise your patients aren't going to have it. So what is the experience of that team? What is their experience with handling different products, new modalities, things that can, again, allow the CDMO to be agile and flexible, but also then the kind of the back part to that question is then scale. Is can you manufacture things at the smaller end of the scale and then be able to grow if either the product with that organization takes off, or if that company does happen to potentially get that product acquired by somebody else, will the new company then be able to continue to leverage that existing relationship, and then the small company is able to come back to the CDMO with product 2, 3, and 4 in their pipeline?
And whether we're talking about large organizations or small organizations, I have to think quality culture and the sharing of data is such a big part of the conversation.
Very much so. It's definitely something that is, I think, a big challenge that the industry has to overcome is how can we better partner together to share data to make sure that customers have the data they need to make decisions. Again, in the CDMO environment, we release the batch, but then ultimately the customer has to do the final release to market. So how can they expedite that, particularly if their supply chain has 2 or 3 CDMOs in the mix that all have to touch the product? The handoffs, just like in any line of business, whenever there's a handoff or an inflection point, that's where your breakdowns can occur. So I think having that appreciation is going to be really important.
What makes INCOG a leader in this space?
Where we really try to be a leader is in about delivering better customer service, right? We want to be better. And so part of that is that we've defined ourselves as a customer-driven manufacturing organization. That's something that is really in everything that we've done, from the way we've designed the facility to our quality systems and processes, and also to how we manage and onboard our customers. We really want that entire process to really feel like we're a cog in the customer's supply chain. And that's where part of our name comes from, is being a cog is really important. If the cogs are not aligned on a bicycle, then things can really happen that are not good for the rider. And so that's really where we're really trying to be different and to be a leader in the space.
So I appreciate we don't want to do examples that name names, but everyone loves a real world example. If there's something that you could use to illustrate the idea of, we have customers come to us with very specific needs or wants or ways they want things to be done, and this is how we built our process to accommodate that. What would you want to illustrate to sort of flesh out this idea?
Yeah, so one of the things is that, for example, our formulation suite, we've designed it to be rather large, more space than you might traditionally see in an aseptic fill finish plant. And part of the reason for that is because we want to be able to give customers the ability to scale. And for a really detailed example, when it comes to our mixing systems, we want to be able to have mixing systems that can be bottom-mounted mixing, top-mounting mixing, depending on the product and the nature of it. It may need different styles of mixing, or customers may say, well, I've used equipment A, or other customers have used equipment B. By having a larger formulation room, it gives us the ability to be able to alternate between customers and to really be able to give them a more form-fit solution without saying, well, we only have this one kind of equipment, you have to use our equipment. So it's part of what is going to keep us agile and flexible and really, listen to what the customer needs in order to deliver the product the way they want it delivered.
And we were speaking earlier about quality culture. I think that also speaks to comfort level. That idea of, we know this works and we're partnering with you because we need it to be done on a different scale and at a different time frame. And familiarity and that flexibility on your end is only going to just build confidence level.
No, 100%. And that honestly extends even more into the facility design. So, for example, we've committed 10,000 square feet of corridor space to go around our entire manufacturing corridor. So not only can you see into the formulation room and to the filling room, you can also see into the inspection room where the product is visually inspected after manufacturing, but you can also see into the room where we load the parts washer and the autoclave, parts of the operation that you normally don't get to see in a lot of facilities, but it really allows our customers to see every step of the process, for their audit teams to see every step of the process, and for the regulators that ultimately come to give us our product approvals to be able to see every step of the process. So it really builds that transparent culture that we're really all about, and the idea that quality is something that you should be able to have designed in from the beginning, so our customers can really see that from beginning to end of the process.
And I would also think, if it's a large organization, you're saying your people are going to be an extension of their team. If it's a smaller company, you are their manufacturing wing. There needs to be that visibility, that trust, that reliability. I wonder if we can speak a little bit about that cultural element.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, being customer driven is all about building partnerships, right? And in partnerships, you have to be transparent. That's when the best communication happens, right? If you think about any kind of real good partnership you've ever had in your life, that communication, that transparency, that visibility to what's going on and where the challenges are. And sometimes that's INCOG saying to a customer, we didn't do it as good as we could have. Here's how we're going to make it right. Sometimes it's INCOG giving the customer feedback. We need more information from you. We need to have more timeliness from you so that we can continue to move a project or a process forward. So that's really why we're really trying to really focus on this customer-driven aspect and have that transparency so that we can really build that trust and really go deeper and build a true partnership with our customer.
I wonder if we could talk a little bit about some of the concerns companies have when they're making the choice of who to partner with. I remember a couple of years ago, as we were coming out of COVID, one of the issues everyone had was a reliable supply chain. Can you get the pieces we need if we partner? Another would be timelines. It feels like everybody wants to move as quickly as possible while still being responsible. And if they're bringing in a new partner, are you going to be able to move at our speed? I wonder if we can talk a little bit about what partnering with an organization like INCOG actually looks like and how you would address some of those concerns.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that we did from the very beginning was recognize that particularly in the aseptic fill finish space, there are a number of different container closure options that are out there in the industry. So one of the things that we focused on was building strong relationships with those different component vendors, and not only to be able to have access to the components, but actually to integrate the design to handle multiple components within our existing equipment set, so that if we have a customer that says, well, I want to use vial A and stopper C, that's something we can say our equipment is designed for that, and that's something that we've run on our line, so that's something that we would be able to get to the line faster than, well, we have to have a stopper bowl built, we have to have other pieces and parts that are going to take 6 months to order. So that's one of the elements that we did from the very beginning, was recognizing that we have to be fairly component agnostic. Now, that being said, one of the other benefits that we have at INCOG is that just by the nature of where we're located in Fishers, Indiana, Stevanato Group, which is one of the largest manufacturers of glass in the world, is building their first United States manufacturing facility directly across the highway from INCOG.
Wow.
So it's something that we, along with a couple of other companies that kind of committed to the Fishers area early on, were able to really help the city really get into building life sciences in Fishers. And so by having Stevanato so close, it's also something that is potentially going to meet a lot of customers' needs when it comes to sustainability. When I can get the glass less than a kilometer away from our manufacturing site, pretty high scores on those ESG scorecards that a lot of companies have.
And I have to think located in Indiana is also a wonderful thing for, supply chain. It's the middle of the country. It's access to some great education in that part of the Midwest, but not so competitive that it's, going up against 50 other companies that are all hiring from the same talent pool. Like, a lot of advantages to Indiana.
No, absolutely. I mean, Indiana is a manufacturing state, so the idea that we have a lot of biotech manufacturing, we have a lot of medical device manufacturing, so Indiana builds a lot of things that people all over the world use. So being in that environment helps. In the particular area of Indianapolis where we are, our hometown, Fishers, along with Carmel, which is our sister city to the west, both in the top 10 in livability scores pretty consistently. So we've built an area where it's going to be very accommodating for our employees to want to live and to raise their families and to really put down roots, which is something that is one of our key tenets at INCOG, is that we really want to be a company with staying power. And that's why we focused on being customer driven, because we believe that's what's going to allow us to do that.
And I also think, going back to that large-scale, small-scale organization conversation, if they're a small-scale organization with a footprint that's just on the West Coast or just on the East Coast, how fantastic is it to have a partner in the middle of the country that can distribute everywhere? Or if you're a large company where you have existing infrastructure in New Jersey or Pennsylvania or California, here's a new facility that you can bring online in the middle of the country. That's wonderful.
No, absolutely. And again, Indiana has some other things that are maybe things that not everybody knows. For example, FedEx has the second largest hub at the Indianapolis International Airport.
Wow.
So if you have products that need cold chain to go anywhere in the world, Indianapolis is probably one of the places where they're going to go through. So yes, we have a lot of built-in kind of home court advantages. But to your point about customers being everywhere, that's another unique feature that we've designed in INCOG, particularly in the quality system, is we've used a digital quality management system platform, which not only do we use to make all of our quality processes happen, but we've actually opened that up to our customers to participate digitally in approving their documents, getting their batch release data. So it's something that not very many CDMOs out there do, but it really goes to the idea that we're being transparent, customer driven, and we want to move at the speed that the customer needs to move.
I also think there's an element of, you're ahead of the curve there. I think eventually everyone is going to want that. So if you're doing it already, that is just staying ahead of expectations. And where are you going to be when everyone's at your level?
No, absolutely. And that's, we've been really fortunate as well that our investors and our board of directors have been really forward thinking in terms of giving us, as the management team, the resources that we need to be able to continue to grow the company. We have our second filling line that's due to be on site in the next 5 months or so, and it'll be ready for GMP production in the second half of next year. That's going to tremendously increase our available capacity for syringes and cartridges. And we've got some other exciting expansions that are going to be coming in the near future as well.
I mean, exciting is the word, and I think we've covered a lot of ground in this conversation. If there were a couple of key ideas that you want to highlight for people to maybe think about a little further, what would you want to underline for them?
So I think I want to kind of talk about our INCOG values. So we really have three values at INCOG. One of them is all in, and that really gets to the fact that INCOG is going to be all in for its employees, but we also want our employees to be all in for INCOG. And that's something that I think we've been able to demonstrate as we've won Best Places to Work in Indiana for the last 3 years, starting as a very small organization, now up to 100 plus. So I think that speaks to the culture that we're building at INCOG. The second one is lean forward, and I think being customer driven, we're solution oriented. We want to figure out how to get these products manufactured, get them released so that they can get to the patients that really need them. And then the last one is pull for the team. And that's the idea that, again, as we go through a tech transfer, as we go through a manufacturing process, different parts of the team may have a struggle, they may have a challenge. And so by pulling for the team, it really is all about how does INCOG and our partners, how do we come together and pull for the team in order to get to the finish line, which is getting that product to the patient that needs it.
For people who have been listening to this and maybe have a few questions, want to learn more, what is the best way to get in touch?
So the best place to start is our website, just www.incogbiopharma.com. We also have a LinkedIn page as well, and we've got a number of other videos and other things that you can find through YouTube. So we'd definitely be excited to connect and also to host anyone that wants to come visit the facility. We love to show it off, and we're very happy to do that.
Well, that's a very generous offer. I encourage everybody to at least visit the website. But certainly, if you are interested in doing business with INCOG, I'm enjoying chatting with JR. Could you imagine if he was also showing me around a facility? That sounds like a great time. JR, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
You've been listening to another episode of Executive Platform's Blueprint podcast series. I've been Jeff Mix. Let's do it again soon.